It was a cold October night in a small town in Vermont. The wind howled through the empty streets, rattling old windows like a warning. Emma, a travel blogger from London, had arrived at an old countryside inn for a weekend getaway. From the outside, the inn looked charming, with ivy crawling up the brick walls and a faint light glowing from the windows. But as Emma stepped onto the creaking wooden porch, a shiver ran down her spine. Something about the place felt wrong. She pushed open the heavy oak door and entered the dimly lit lobby. The air smelled faintly of damp, wood, and something else she couldn't place, something metallic, almost like blood. A tall man stood behind the reception desk, his eyes piercing yet expressionless. He didn't speak at first, just watched her. "Room 7, he muttered finally, his voice low and unsettling. Emma nodded, trying to mask her unease, and followed the winding staircase up to her room. The stairs groaned under her weight, echoing through the empty halls. Emma noticed faint whispers, almost like someone softly calling her name from behind the walls. She shook her head, telling herself it was just the wind. Her room was small, with heavy curtains and antique furniture covered in dust. She unpacked slowly, glancing nervously at the shadows that seemed to linger longer than they should. As midnight approached, the power went out. Darkness swallowed the inn, and Emma's heart raced. She grabbed her phone to use as a flashlight, its weak beam barely piercing the gloom. That's when she heard it, a soft tapping at the window. Her pulse jumped. No one should be outside. She held her breath, slowly approaching the window. The cold night air rushed in as she opened it, carrying the faint smell of decay. But no one was there. Turning back, her blood ran cold. A shadow moved in the corner of her room, subtle, almost transparent but unmistakably human. Its hollow eyes met hers for a brief moment, before vanishing as if it had never been there. Emma sank onto the bed, trying to convince herself it was her imagination. But deep down, she knew this night had only just begun. The morning light felt wrong. The air was still heavy, as if the night hadn't really ended. Emma went downstairs for breakfast, but the dining room was empty. The receptionist wasn't there either. Only a small bell sat on the counter. She rang it once. The sound echoed, but no one came. On the wall behind the counter hung a guest book, its pages yellow and brittle. Out of curiosity, Emma opened it. The first few pages were normal. Travelers signing in, cheerful messages. But halfway through, the name stopped. The last entry was dated October 21st, 1974. Exactly 50 years ago, under room 7, someone had written in shaky handwriting, "Never leave. They'll follow." A cold shiver ran down her spine. She quickly closed the book and turned around. The receptionist was suddenly standing behind her. His face looked different now, pale and drained. "You shouldn't be here," he whispered, before walking away toward the back hall. That night, the power flickered again. Emma lay in bed, wide awake. The whispers started softly at first, just her name, carried on the wind. Then they grew louder, filling the room, coming from the walls, the ceiling, the floor. She clamped her hands over her ears, tears streaming down her face. Suddenly, the portrait on the wall crashed to the floor, glass shattering across the carpet. Emma's flashlight beam caught something behind it, a small hole in the plaster. Inside, barely visible, was an eye, a real human eye staring right back at her. She screamed and stumbled back. The whispers turned into laughter, low, cruel, echoing. She ran for the door, but when she flung it open, the hallway beyond wasn't the same. It was dark, endless, with doors stretching into forever. She ran, calling out, "Hello? Is anyone there?" But the only reply came from her own voice, whispered back, mocking her from the darkness. Emma had lost all sense of time. The inn seemed to shift and breathe around her, trapping her in an endless maze. Every hallway led her back to room 7. Every mirror showed faces that weren't her own. Desperate, she tried to break a window. But outside wasn't the road or the trees anymore. It was just fog, thick and alive, pressing against the glass like it wanted to get in. From within the fog, she thought she saw shapes, hands, faces, eyes watching her. A soft, childlike voice spoke behind her. "You shouldn't have come here." She turned. A young girl stood in the corner, dressed in a white nightgown, her hair covering her face. "Who are you?" Emma asked, her voice trembling. The girl looked up. Her eyes were black, hollow pits. "The last guest," she said. Then she vanished. The walls began to hum, a low vibration that grew into a moan. The lights flickered violently. A door slammed somewhere in the distance. Then another, until the entire inn shook. Emma fell to her knees, covering her ears. When it stopped, she opened her eyes and found herself back in the lobby. The receptionist was there again, but this time his smile was wide, inhuman. "Leaving so soon?" he asked. His voice sounded like it came from many mouths at once. Emma tried to run for the exit, but the front door wouldn't open. She pounded on it, screaming, as unseen hands began pulling her back into the darkness. "You can't leave," whispered 100 voices at once. "You're part of us now." The next morning, the sun rose over Vermont like any other day. Locals passed by the old inn, unaware of what had happened inside. From the outside, it looked peaceful, quiet, even beautiful. Weeks later, a couple traveling through town checked in. The same receptionist greeted them with a chilling smile. "Welcome," he said softly. "Room 7 is available." That night, as the couple settled in, they heard soft footsteps in the hallway. Then came a faint whisper, a woman's voice echoing through the walls. "Don't stay here, please. Leave while you can." The husband checked the hallway. No one was there. When he returned, his wife was pale, pointing toward the mirror. Written in the fog of her breath were 5 words. "The last guest still waits." Downstairs, the receptionist opened the guest book. Beneath the newest signature, a fresh entry had appeared, in a handwriting no one recognized. It read, "The last guest, forever." And somewhere deep within the walls, Emma's whispers joined the others. Her voice, once full of life, now called softly to every new arrival, warning them, begging them. But no one ever listened. Every 50 years, room 7 opens its door again. And every time, someone new becomes the last guest.